I guess you know what time it is. Yeah, I know, because it's about that time for the Toni G. Campbell podcast.
Hello and welcome to Conversations with Toni on Toni G. Campbell, the podcast. This is the show for my Gen X warriors where we talk about our challenges and victories in life. On today's episode, we will discuss volunteerism. Now, tell me, do you volunteer? If you do you do it because it looks great on your resume? Or were you taught as a child that volunteerism is something that we should do? What are your feelings about volunteering your time? On today's show, my co-host and I will dive deep into a conversation about volunteerism, which is the use or involvement of volunteer labor, especially in community services. Right after a word from our sponsor, I will come back with my co-host for today, Dr. Tonya Calhoun, a business owner, a wife, and a career volunteer. Stay tuned.
1, 2, 1, 2, and I say this is Tide Controller, and I'm here to talk about Dip Square. Dip Square is an online shop that specializes in unique graphic t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, and other apparel. They also offer services like personalized mugs and shoes. Did I just say shoes? Yeah, you can get sneakers with your picture on them at Dip Square. They also have tote bags and other items. Right now, you can save on t-shirts every day by using the discount code I Love Tees. That's I Love Teez. You get 14% off because every day is Valentine's Day at Dip Square. So check them out online at dipsquare.com. Dipsquare.com. I guess you know what time it is. Yeah, I know, because it's about that time for the Toni G. Campbell podcast.
Welcome back. Now, today we are talking about volunteerism, which, again, I've said is the use or involvement of volunteer labor, especially in community services, with our co-host for today, Dr. Tonya Calhoun, a business owner, a wife, and a career volunteer. Hey, Tonya.
Hey, Toni, how are you?
I am great, girl. I am so glad you are on my show today.
This is exciting. This is very exciting.
And I'm sending you hugs. I feel like I haven't seen you.
I'm hugging you back. Hugging you back, girl.
Okay, so let's talk. First, I want to share a little bit about you with the people. So tell people who you are.
So, as Toni said, my name is Tonya Calhoun, and I am a career
doctor.
Yes, Dr. Tonya Calhoun. Dr. Tonya. Well, I guess so, right? Because I have volunteered so much that I actually went and got a PhD in understanding how to make sure nonprofit organizations can keep serving others and have good opportunities for volunteers to serve. Oh, my goodness. So, listen, my mother will tell you that I started volunteering my opinion when I was 4. Okay. So technically I started volunteering when I was 4 years old. But no, I became a Girl Scout when I was in elementary school because I was that person who always liked to keep the door open for people. I like to, make sure the ladies understood that you're not supposed to touch the door. Like a gentleman is supposed to touch the door. So I would help gentlemen volunteer. And so my mom was like, you know what? I've got to get her involved in something. So I became a Girl Scout. I became a Girl Scout. And, they taught us more leadership things. And, as my little life progressed as a high school student, I, was a part of Top Teams of America, Xenos, Kudos. And these are all organizations that teach you leadership skills and show you that you're supposed to serve one another. And so that went on into college. That I was volunteering in college. It, became my career choice. But Toni, listen, I have volunteered in places where the opportunity was wonderful. Wanted to go back. I have volunteered in places where it's like, wait a minute, I don't know what was going on there, so I probably won't be going back there. So, I don't want to do that. The mission was absolutely wonderful, but I was like, the volunteer opportunities were just not. So that was the reason why I wanted to start my business. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm just going to stop right there in my career journey as a volunteer, just in case you have a question for me.
Oh, well, girl, I got lots of questions for you because it's like, how does one become a career volunteer? Like, you kind of explained growing up being first of all, volunteering your opinion at the age of 4. Which I guess I might need to be a career volunteer, because believe me, I've been volunteering my opinion for probably since I was 2, because I used to get in trouble because of my mouth all the time. Okay, but
yes, ma'am.
I mean, first of all, you have to have some sort of amazing heart to even just want to volunteer for other people your entire life. So did that come from, you saw that in your mom, your dad? Did you just see that in church? Did you have a mentor to show you what they call a servant's heart?
All of that really, but I first saw it in my mother. So my mother has 6 brothers. Okay.
Oh,
and
wow.
there,
Was she the
yes,
only girl?
she is the only girl. The only girl. So her mother passed away when my mother was like 15 years old. So she became like mom to everybody. Shoot, even my grandfather. So my mom is the 3rd child of 7, but she became mom. And, my uncles would tell me the stories of how my mother just kind of gave up all of her time to make sure they were, doing well in school. They were fed. They were everything they needed from mom. My mother became that. So fast forward to my mother getting married, I watched her serve my father. I watched her do the things like, when it's dinner time, make him a plate, make sure I'm okay. So I watched my mother be a servant to other people, more so her family. And it's interesting because a lot of people don't realize when you're serving your family, you're volunteering your time. And a lot of people don't. Yes, you're volunteering your time.
I see it as a hostage situation, but it's okay. It's okay.
Yes, that's where it starts. So yes, it started in the home. I literally watched my mother serve others. And so I became, that servant person because that's what I saw in my house. I would see somebody walking outside and I'm like, Mom, I think I need to make sure, they get to their location, And she's like, Tonya, they got a whole family full of people. And I'm like, but I still need to make sure she gets there. So yes, it did. It started at home. And then, as we were involved in church, because I come from a family of ministers. My grandfather is a pastor. My great-grandfather was a pastor. 3 of my mom's 6 brothers are pastors. And so, in church, I started doing things as a youth. I was the president of the youth department. I was a Sunday school teacher because it was stuff that I enjoyed doing. I actually enjoy talking to people. People make a joke that I have never met a stranger. And it's true. I meet somebody and I just start talking about whatever. So, so yeah, you actually do have to have a heart for it because, in some instances when you're doing service for others, they might not appreciate it firsthand, but because the overall impact that you're going to be making either on that person or the organization, those attitudes, I guess you can say, don't really, bother you as much because the end goal.
Yeah. And I've always, I won't say always, I learned from reading a book, that they said that you always have to volunteer for yourself. You can't say you're doing it for the other people because, if they don't appreciate it or you don't get any accolades from it, then you start resenting it. And it's like, you can't do it for other people. It definitely is it's a selfless, but it also has to be a selfish situation because you cannot do it for anybody else but yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And how about this? There's something that's called strategic volunteering. So yes. Yes. So yes, you want to make sure you're doing things to help others, but at the same time, you want to make sure you're helping yourself advance. So you talked about volunteerism as a career, and people don't realize you can volunteer in areas that will catapult you to other things. So listen, so strategic volunteering, it allows you to align volunteer opportunities with your desired leadership and skill development plans.
Oh.
So, yeah, yes. So, it's a role that incorporates your development goals. It allows you to demonstrate value and impact over a period of time. And it also affords you the chance to continually expand your network and skill sets. So how about that? So listen to strategic volunteering as networking. Mm-hmm. So expanding your network through volunteering, it can be a little more powerful than simply meeting new people. So you can have like meaningful strategic volunteer engagements that provide the opportunity for effectively displaying your specific skills, your work ethic, and your ability to drive results, amongst a circle of professionals that you wouldn't otherwise encounter. So prime example, you can go to an organization and start, I'll give you an example, Open Hand Atlanta. You can start with delivering meals. You can start with putting meals together, but there are other departments that are there. They need help with fundraising. So So if you're interested in fundraising, or if you know how to bring money into an organization, you can use your skills there. So you can start with doing like a simple event. We've got something called Party in the Kitchen at Open Hand, where we have all these people who come together and they do silent auctions. They do live auctions. We test food. We taste the food in the kitchen. And there is someone who puts that event together. There's someone who calls out to organizations and say, hey, we're doing this event. Do you have anything that you could auction off? And that becomes something so important that the department at Open Hand will continually ask you to come back and do. Mm-hmm. I've seen someone start as a volunteer at Open Hand Atlanta, become staff in the department where because of their volunteerism. Yes, because of the leadership skills that the department saw in them. And they're like, you know what? We want to reward you by giving you a job. And you never know how that can expand your career or even more interest that you have as a volunteer. So it's crazy, right?
Girl, I would say that might be true because, I've done the food prep for Open Hands Atlanta, and I've done the food delivery. And now girl, I contract myself out to Amazon to deliver packages. There we go.
What I'm saying? See what I'm saying? You better turn that thing into a career and put it on your LinkedIn profile. All the experiences and causes that you do as a volunteer, make sure you put that on your LinkedIn profile because there are organizations who are looking for that. Yes, they're looking for the skills that you have. Can they operate this? Can they talk to people? Can they lead people? But when they see that you're volunteering in an area where you can, strengthen your leadership skills, those are the skills that they're looking for, employment also. So, yes, strategic volunteering. It is very strategic.
And, I've always, because when back in the day, I'm dating myself, like when we first started doing like resumes and stuff, that's not something you put on your resume. But now it's like you put it there because jobs want to see that, And I was like, okay. Now that you've explained it, it makes sense to me why we're putting volunteerism items on your resume now. Because I was like, why do they need to know where I'm volunteering at? Because
exactly.
I always saw it as a private thing. I'm a volunteer. You ain't got to know what I'm doing. But everybody, that's awesome because it can help you catapult into different positions that you want to go to. That is amazing. Okay.
I'm telling you, and for all of our listeners out there, let me just break it down a little further, just a little bit. So when you put your volunteer information on your LinkedIn profile, it expands your visibility by including the impacts that you're having both in and outside the workplace. It gives you the opportunity to gather recommendations for your work outside of your professional role, because other people will see your profile and say, hey, they really do enjoy doing this and they enjoy doing it well. It makes it evident that you have a commitment to community nonprofit support. Okay. And then it highlights your initiative and accomplishments because it provides a nice compliment to your professional successes. So put that stuff on your LinkedIn profile. Yes, ma'am. All of it. All of it. Because there are some times when I know for a fact there are LinkedIn, companies who advertise on LinkedIn, when they start doing searches for individuals, those are the things they're looking for. Like I said, they're looking for the skills that you can do the job, but they're also trying to see if you're selfless, if that makes sense. Yes.
Oh, yeah, because I'm pretty sure, because I think a lot of businesses now, especially newer businesses, they move in a more organic fashion versus just corporate America, come in, sit at this desk, do this job. They want to make sure that the family, the business family is, on the same page. And if the owner's heart is to volunteer, they want your heart to be, kind of in the same place. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Makes great sense. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what I have learned from your amazing husband and his Facebook page. Let's talk about the number of service projects that you have literally organized across the U.S. lately. So, because I know you were talking to me about one before we even got on about the Clean Air Initiative situation. Can you speak on that?
I sure can. So I have a national client called Mom's Clean Air Workforce, and it is an organization that focuses on understanding climate change and understanding how to keep your air clean in your community. And so, we have consultants all over the world. So like I said, the actual office is in DC, but we have clients in Georgia, or consultants, I should say, in Georgia, Florida, Michigan, Iowa, any state that you can think about that's dealing with clean air. Which is everywhere, right?
At least we wish we had clean air everywhere.
Oh my goodness, yes, we do. So we have consultants that are out in the community, out in the field, I should say, that are doing the footwork to talk to the congressmen, to get other people involved in the Clean Air Initiative. We've got a climate strike coming up in September. So, we're organizing all types of projects. So within Mom's Clean Air Force, we actually just created a program called Community RX. And so Community RX really focuses on the African-American community, because we want our African-American community to get involved in the Clean Air Initiative. And we know that sometimes African-Americans will get involved when the church says it's time to get involved. Amen? Am I right?
Amen, Jesus. Yes.
So one of our things was to make sure we came through the church. So we created a Bible study curriculum that talks about how God commands you to care for the earth. And so from there, we opened the conversation about clean air. So this was a program that was launched first here in Atlanta, because where else could you launch it? This is our nonprofit world, right? This is our civil rights. This is the city where civil rights started, So having clean air is a civil right, Toni. So why not start the launch here? So I was responsible for launching our Community RX here in Atlanta. And this was done in February. We wanted to do it during Black History Month. And, what we did was we organized some projects here in Atlanta. So we planted trees. We did all kinds of initiatives to get people involved and to introduce Community RX. So the program did so well. Guess what? We're launching Community RX in 5 different states.
What?
5 different states. Yes. So we'll be in Michigan. We'll be in Texas. We'll be in North Carolina, South Carolina. And what is our last one? I think it might be Iowa. Don't quote me, but it's going to be in 5 different states. And guess who's going to be leading that? Dr. Tonya Calhoun.
Tonya Calhoun.
So yes, so it's you can turn your passion into a career, and that's what I've done. With my heart for volunteerism. So that is so that's one of the projects that I was working on to get started. That's one of them. Well, 5, I guess, right?
I know. Yeah, it has grown to 5. And that's so amazing that you say about turning your passion into a career, because I talked about that on probably almost every podcast that I've done so far. It's like if you do something that you love, then it doesn't seem like work at all. And I mean, I know you're tired at most of end of your days, but it's still a joy that you get to go out and do what you love to do. Now, we have to take a quick break right now.
Okay.
And when we come back, we are going to talk about your business is altruistically yours.
Yes, you said it. Yay! Yes, altruistically yours.
All right. We'll be right back.
Okay.
1 2 1 2, and I say this is Tide Controller, and I'm here to talk about Dip Square. Dip Square is an online shop that specializes in unique graphic t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, and other apparel. They also offer services like personalized mugs and shoes. Did I just say shoes? Yeah, you can get sneakers with your picture on them at Dip Square. They also have tote bags and other items. Right now, you can save on t-shirts every day by using the discount code I Love Tees. That's I Love TEEZ. You get 14% off because every day is Valentine's Day at Dip Square. So check them out online at dipsquare.com. Dipsquare.com. I guess you know what time it is. Yeah, I know, because it's about that time for the Toni G. Campbell podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to Toni's Conversations with Toni G. Campbell, the podcast. Why did I just forget my name that quick? That was just crazy. Okay.
That's because we're having fun.
I know. Okay, we will continue our conversation about volunteerism with my co-host for today, Dr. Tonya Calhoun, who is a business owner, a wife, and a career volunteer. Now, before the break, I said we're going to talk about altruistically yours.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
So that's your business that basically you teach people about volunteerism, correct?
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Mm-hmm. So my favorite word is altruism. So altruism is the principle or moral practice of concern for happiness of other human beings or animals, resulting in the quality of life for everyone. So that's my favorite word, I guess, because that's what I like to do. I want to make sure everybody is happy, having a good time, and they are in a way improving the quality of their life. So that's where I got Altruistically Yours from, the name of my company. And as Toni said, my tagline is creating stellar volunteer programs. So there are 3 different services that I do for Altruistically Yours. So one of them is, like Toni mentioned, I go out and do speaking engagements to nonprofit organizations, schools, anyone who will listen about understanding the importance of volunteerism, or even helping them to create training manuals for their volunteer department. Another service that I do via Altruistically Yours is actually having a 9-step program for nonprofit organizations that are looking to create volunteer programs within their organization, and they have no idea where to start. Toni, it's not that easy. You can say, hey, I want a volunteer department, but most of the time people just think volunteers show up. That's true, they do show up, but once they get there, you've got to understand how to care for them, orient them, train them, reward them. And a lot of organizations are like, wow, I had no idea that all of this is involved. Like they see it, but they don't understand how to do it. And so,
believe me, I've been to some volunteer opportunities where I show up and I'm like, okay, what are we supposed to be doing? And nobody knows. There's no water there. I'm like, I just need a sip of something. Y'all got a water fountain? Something. I mean, you know, people, I know their mind and heart might be there, but you have to have a plan. And
that's right.
I'm so glad that you are providing that plan for everybody. I need you to talk to everybody.
I'm trying to. I'm absolutely trying to. Yeah, because to your point, I don't know if organizations really understand that having a plan, having water, that is your retention program. It sounds crazy, but that's how you retain volunteers. Like there are people who literally will only go and serve in organizations where they know that there's a plan and they know that they're going to be taken care of when they're giving their hours and their time. And they should be, honestly, Toni, they should be well taken care of when they're helping your organization to thrive and stay alive.
And,
so
I mean, that's true because I have friends that because I volunteer a lot, or at least I try to. And I've invited them to volunteer at certain events. And because the event went crazy or the person in charge did not understand what their role was or how to even implement what we were supposed to be getting done, they're like, nah, I ain't going back there. They're not together. And I'm like, and I feel bad because I'm like, but they still need people to volunteer. But people won't come back because they're all over the place and they don't have the person in place that you have to be able to put out fires mentally.
That's right.
You know, you have to be able to work on spontaneity. What am I trying to say? Like make decisions, like right then and there, because everything's not going to go. Even if you have a plan, you have to have backup plans for when things don't go right. You know,
That's
and
right.
if you don't have that, then people are just standing around looking like, what am I supposed to be doing?
And that hurts my heart when people literally are just standing around because, you know, they could be doing something else. You know, I saw a quote, I can't remember who it was. And basically they were saying there's no such thing as free time or spare time. This is lifetime. Like you have things to do.
Yes.
And if you're just kind of standing around, you're like, man, I could be X, Y, and Z. I could be serving at another organization. So, yeah, we have to remember that this is people's time, their talents, and you might not get them back. And that might be one of the volunteers that turns from a volunteer until, you know, a staff member at your organization that can make some drastic changes. So it's important. It's just really important. Yeah. Really, really important.
Because I promise you, that lifetime, you don't get that lifetime.
You don't get that back.
If I'm giving you 3 hours and you've wasted it, that's valuable to me. That's a whole nap. You know what I'm saying?
That is a whole nap to do something else. Let me get this good nap in so I can go do something else.
Especially for a tired mama. Those naps are far and few between. So if I could have been napping instead of volunteering with this craziness, listen. I'm just saying. But,
no,
you know.
Seriously.
So we've touched on a little bit on how to continuously get people to volunteer for your organization over and over again, because you have to take care of them. You have to provide a guideline. You have to have someone there to explain, okay, you're here. Welcome. Thank you for coming. So this is what I need for you to do now. And then not just say, I need you to put these cans in this box. So we're boxing up these cans. Okay, but give them a little bit more, because I know I'm a details person. I need all the details. I need to know, Are we putting all the peas in one box? Are we mixing up the boxes? Because are they going to separate different people? Are they all going to one place? I need to know what I'm labeling. I need to know all that ahead of time, because once I get started, I like to get started and get done. Do you run into like a lot of different personalities when, I'm pretty sure you do, because I know, like I said, I'm very detail oriented, but somebody standing next to me might be like, oh, okay, we're putting everything in the box. Let's put everything in the box. And I'm like, you ain't got no questions. Like,
right.
So talk about how to kind of work with all the different personalities, or do you have to have, I don't know. Do you have to have like, is that a skill set to know how to work with the different personalities that come up? Because, you know.
Listen. Yes, ma'am, it is a skill set. It is a skill set. So one of the things that I like to do when I am organizing a program or an event, I'll go back to the Nonprofit Trinity Awards. I sit on a board for Nonprofit Trinity Awards, and it's an organization where we do a big time event. It's kind of like the Oscars, really. There's a red carpet. There's all kinds of stuff. And, our overall goal is to appreciate the volunteer and these small nonprofit organizations that are in the Atlanta community. Because we know, Toni, nonprofit organizations really don't have a huge budget for recognition. So, a thank you is probably the best that some of them can do. But the Nonprofit Trinity Awards focuses on putting together an event where you can get dressed up, you can walk the red carpet, you can, be interviewed about your organization, what you do. And so we really just want to go all out for individuals. So, I operate with maybe a team of 30 volunteers. And what I like to do is put together a volunteer policies and procedures manual before they even step foot on the grounds wherever we have the event. And what I normally do is I have I'll do a small orientation over the phone, because we know people are coming from all different places in Atlanta. So we'll do a small little orientation over the phone, and I'll go through the manual as much as I can, like touch the high points without it being boring, right? But I always express to people, hey, when we do the actual training on the day of the event, we are going to hit every last point that is in this manual. So it kind of slows down people who are like, well, I can read this. I already see this. Or I've done an event like this before, so I don't really need that. I always remind them that people who they're volunteering with or serving with that day, some of them may not have ever volunteered before. So you know what I do sometimes, Toni? I make them the team lead of that particular department. I always tell them, hey, guess what? We're still going to go through bam, bam, bam when we physically see each other at the training. But once we're done training, I need you to lead this area, or I need you to lead that area. So that's how I get my team leads. Okay. Those, yes, ma'am, those personalities that kind of know it already. Know it already?
Yeah.
I'm finger quoting. I'm like doing in quotations. I do make sure they know it, but I have them to become the team lead for that particular area. So that way they don't get bored quickly. Like, oh, you know how to do this. Really? You know how to do that? Well, make sure this, such and such knows how to do it. So I will make sure they are doing the extra mile, because that's what it feels like they want to do, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes. So you do have many different personalities. Yes, they are the veteran. Those personalities, I put them to work. Or, I'll just say, hey, you know what? This is such and such's first time. So let's make sure they understand what's going on before we move forward. And then they kind of, you'll see their body kind of like, become less tense and say, oh, yes, you know what? I was once there. So let me just kind of sit back and let you finish doing what you're doing. But I always tell my, volunteer managers, make sure you're coming with some type of volunteer policies and procedures that has pictures, descriptions of what people are going to be doing, because you don't want any questions after that, coming into the training. I will have
100 for you.
Mm-hmm,
I'm the question person.
And that's fine, because you got to know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Yes. You have to know what you're doing. Like, I'm a visual person. I like learning and looking at things. So, wait, what now? What shelf is it? The third shelf? Is it the third shelf on the left or the one in the middle? So I like to have pictures so people can know what they are doing.
That's important because, like, I promise you, this one place that I go to, that I contract with, they'll say, go to the third lane. And I'm like, okay. Because different people will say, go to the third lane. And I'm like, okay, does this lane that I'm currently in count as 0 or does it count as 1? Because different people see it different ways. So, if you give me a visual, then everybody is on the same page. And then you have marked, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, and no one's confused because I promise you, they say go to the third lane. I'm going to what I think the third lane should be. And
Exactly.
like, no, I said third. And I'm like, this is third. So,
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Visuals are so important, people. I'm going to just let y'all know. Okay. Now, we met in church a very, very long time ago. And I volunteered for you when you were the director of Open Hands Atlanta. Now, I do understand that you do sit on several nonprofit boards. Which means you raise money for people, because I think that's what that means, right? Sitting on the board.
Sometimes. Look, sometimes.
You're raising money and you making decisions. So how many boards are you actually on currently?
Ooh, how many boards? Because I've transitioned out of some of them. So I am on the Nonprofit Trinity Awards board. I am the immediate past president of COVA. I think you remember COVA. It's the Council of Volunteer Administrators. And I am the vice president of Vertical Church, ATL. I think that is it, Toni. I have begun to transition out of some. I know.
You're only down to 3? What?
I know. I'm making space for this new generation of leaders. You hear me?
Well, hey, as long as you go back and train some of them, because, you got to have the best train the new.
No, seriously. No, that's a really good point.
You can't have anybody training them. I'm just saying.
That's very important.
Okay.
And I made space for that because I know that there are other people who are looking to lead and they just don't see a space for it. And to your point, they don't know how to. So before transitioning out, I did make it a point to do like a succession plan. Making sure people understood, what you're supposed to be doing in that role. And I think, I'm active in Junior League of Atlanta now. So that's a lot of time. And I just became part of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So I'm kind of making space for leadership in those new organizations as well.
And I was about to say, with new seasons bring new things. And with you transitioning out of some of those other things, you're making room for new and more fantastic things to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with your business. So, believe it or not, soon we're coming to a close with this conversation.
Oh,
no! I know, it goes so quickly. It does. So, because I know that nonprofits can hire you, corporate America can hire you, political affiliates can hire you. Tell everyone how to find you for hire.
Oh, find Tonya or Dr.
Find
Tonya.
Dr. Tonya at Altruistically Yours.
I know. I feel like sometimes I need to change the name of that so people can actually say it.
No, I love it. I'm just, enjoying saying it.
Yes. Well, they can actually find me online at altruisticallyyours.com, and I'm going to spell it. It is ALTRUISTICALLY yours.com, or they can call me at 650-701-7694.
Okay, now we're going to do this quick because I know you have this amazing, loving, awesome husband, Alze.
Yes.
Give some advice to the spouses out there, because I know with your business, you travel. you're busy. You're at different places all the time because you don't have like just one client at a time. You might have multiple clients and you're working in different places and you're doing stuff across the United States. So give some advice to spouses on how to love a career volunteer.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Some advice on how, oh man, my husband will tell you, I had never met anybody like you who actually liked volunteering until I spent time with you. And he saw how it made me happy. He saw how it gave me peace. He saw how it was things that, I'd be gone for hours on a day. And when I would see him again, he would ask me, so how did everything go? What was the best part of, this particular project? So I would say for a spouse who is married to someone who is a career volunteer, try to understand why they like to do what they like to do. Ask questions about, like, how was the project? What was the favorite thing about it? What was something that, could have been improved? And is it something that you see yourself improving? Because they need to be prepared for whether or not you're going to go again, right? And, one big thing also, do a volunteer project with them. Because that way they can see you in your sweet spot and they can understand better why you like to do what you do. They can see the smiles on the faces that you're affecting. They can see, the overall mission of that particular project that you're doing. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is some great advice. Mm-hmm. All right, now. Mm-hmm. And they got to let you be you.
And they got to let you be you. I'm telling you. And you know what? It doesn't hurt to ask. One of my clients actually flew my spouse with me to a project.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't hurt to ask, right? It doesn't hurt to ask. I'm telling you, ask, hey, can my spouse, do you have it in your budget, please, sir? For my spouse to come so he can see what I'm doing. So he can see this wonderful mission that we're, showcasing across the nation, right? And they said, yes, you got to ask. And so my husband was able to see even more, what I'm doing when I am traveling. Like, oh, so you really are working and still working in your sweet spot, So it doesn't hurt to ask. Bring them along so they can see you in all of your wonderfulness.
Hey, that is awesome and important. All right, Dr. Tonya Calhoun, I love you so much. And thank you for joining me today. You have been amazing. I'm pretty sure I'll find a reason to get you back on here again.
Hey, you know where to find me.
Okay, I'm going to take one quick break and then I'm going to wrap this up.
All right.
1 2 1 2, and I say this is Tide Controller, and I'm here to talk about Dip Square. Dip Square is an online shop that specializes in unique graphic t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, and other apparel. They also offer services like personalized mugs and shoes. Did I just say shoes? Yeah, you can get sneakers with your picture on them at Dip Square. They also have tote bags and other items. Right now, you can save on t-shirts every day by using the discount code ILOVETEES. That's ILOVETEEZ. You get 14% off because every day is Valentine's Day at Dip Square. So check them out online at dipsquare.com. Dipsquare.com. I guess you know what time it is. Yeah, I know, because it's about that time for the Toni G. Campbell podcast.
Okay, everyone, it is time to wrap it up. I would like to say thank you so much for taking the time to listen to Conversations with Toni on Toni G. Campbell, the podcast. Go to ToniGCampbell.com to check out the archive shows and to get the show notes for this episode. Make sure you follow and subscribe to Toni G. Campbell, the podcast, on all of the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter. Share with your friends and let them know where they can listen to Toni G. Campbell, the podcast, on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio. Make sure you go to my website, TonyGCampbell.com, and become a Gen X warrior. You may be a co-host one day. Make sure you rate and review the podcast everywhere that you are listening. And remember to be kind, be useful, and be fearless. Go out and have a great week.